Edward Scissorhands is the GOAT. How do you write a character with what people would perceive to be a disability, yet make them more beautiful than most others? It's simple. You give them scissor hands. I just want to say, I feel like if this was pitched today, people would not be going for it in any way whatsoever, but Tim Burton makes it work. Edward Scissorhands is a humanoid automaton golem of sorts, created by a scientist in a dark castle, and unfortunately for Edward, before being completed, the scientist passed away, unable to give him hands, leaving him with scissor hands. The untimely death of his creator forces Edward into isolation for what is assumed to be around 100 years due to the architecture of the dark castle he lives in. This isolation causing Edward to be generally awkward, but that doesn't mean he's not intelligent. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Peg meets Edward, coming across all of the newspaper clippings on the wall next to his bed. It's not only telling a story of Edward's interest, but also leading us to believe that Edward, just because he knows he has scissor hands, doesn't mean he can't create something beautiful or be as capable as anyone else. And it's obvious from all the scars on his face that Edward has been actively trying to be capable with his scissor hands, more than likely practicing cutting his own hair and also attempting to touch his skin so that way in the future, whenever he touches someone else, he doesn't hurt them. Peg, the person who meets him, wants to help, bringing him back to town, but he ends up being treated more as an attraction rather than a human being because of how different he is. The women of the town often romanticizing Edward because of how different he is, or villainizing him in some way. And the men antagonize him as well. The problem with this entire situation, though, is that nobody is asking Edward how, as an individual, he feels. It's like the people in this suburban town only like Edward because it benefits them. But that's the thing with Edward. His perception on reality is skewed because of how innocent he is. When asked what he should do when he finds a bag of money that doesn't belong to him, instead of giving the right answer, which is expected to be giving it to the police, he says giving it to his loved ones. And during this movie, Edward often goes around town showing off his skills, trimming hedges, turning them into these beautiful art pieces, and the people allow it because it benefits them. The people in the suburbs show their true colors as soon as something goes awry, though. Edward accidentally hurting a child and someone else and running away because of it. They immediately demonize Edward because of his difference. The story ends on a bittersweet note with Kim, Edward's love interest, bringing back a fake scissor hand so everyone thinks that he's dead. One of the overall core messages of the story being that just because someone is different doesn't mean they can't excel. However, if someone is too different, people often find it too terrifying to cope with.
By the way, if you don't subscribe, I'm going to kick my mom out of our room because I can't afford her to live here without your subscriptions.